Hello, my name is Cassandra Simmons, and today I'm doing a study or proposing a research study that I've titled Collaboration, the Fuel for Creativity. Growing up in elementary, a lot of the work that I've experienced in schoolwork was based on being collaborative and being creative. And we had a lot of group projects. We really focused on working together. And so foundationally, that made my brain wired to be creative, to where I never stopped thinking, never stopped imagining. Fast forward to, let's say, the summer, and I go on an internship. And on the internship, I'm working a design sprint where I'm overseeing a team of people who have to collaborate, and none of them knew what they were doing. As far as working together, as far as thinking creatively, they were really struggling to give me out of the box solutions and ideas. And that concerned me because every time I try to apply for jobs or look on Handshake or LinkedIn or any of those other networks, one of the key things that they're looking for in students and in people entering the workforce is the ability to think innovatively and creatively. And that's something that I saw was lacking while being on the field. And so that got me thinking about why that is the case. And when I talked to several of them, they mentioned that they weren't trained to think that way. They were trained to just come up with the answer and let that be it. And so I am doing a study to find out what are the benefits of collaborating, having people collaborate creatively, work together as a team to be creative and to innovate. And I hypothesize that this will give them better listening skills and overall make them more successful going from school to the workforce. So a little bit of literature review that I ran into. There was a study done by Wang. Let me see if I'm pronouncing that right. Wang, in 2019, where he looked over some international literature to see if there were any studies done about collaboration on an international level, and he didn't find as much as he expected to find. And the reason that they found that was the case is because it's hard to record it. There aren't a lot of records of international collaboration. We know it happens, but not a lot of people write down how it happens, and it's hard to demonstrate that scientifically. And so that was a running theme I saw in a lot of my research as far as literature for collaboration itself, is a lot of it was either to a very specific context. For example, there was one study done where there were a bunch of students who were instrumentalists and an orchestra, and they needed to work together to improvise. And so a lot of them were really good at working together, but improvising with other people became difficult, and it took a lot of reps for that to become good. That was one of the very few examples that actually intertwined collaboration and creativity. A lot of the examples that I found really kept them separate. We saw the benefits of collaboration as far as on an international level, but then we see creativity. And most of the research shows that there are benefits on an individual level and leadership. There's a study done by Mann in 2020 that reflects that companies are seeking out people who are proficient in creativity for leadership and consider them better leaders. They were more likely to be selected and picked. And this showed the concept and idea that creativity is valued. So we know from the literature that there's a value here, that we're not making this up, that people want creativity and they want people to work well together. But the biggest gaps I saw were they didn't have people to show in their literature, in their studies, how collaboration or creativity influenced each other well, and B, they were all the specific niche examples, whether it was with a specific set of musicians, or with a specific type of school in Islamic studies, or just all of them were very specific to isolated contexts that while were good to know for that group, weren't helpful as far as demonstrating on a worldwide scale or even on like a nationwide scale, how to get students to bridge that gap between collaboration and creativity and helping them be more prepared. And that's a research gap that I would like to fill. Is that understanding that being creative and working together and having that collaboration influence your creativity starts at the education level before you even get to the workforce. So, my methodology, I have chosen to collect data between 50 to 100 random students from a university. The reason that I chose a university is for ethical concerns. I didn't want to start this study observing younger children, because when you put children under a microscope, as someone who teaches children, when you put them under a microscope and they know they're being observed, they will change their actions to appear good, regardless of what they would actually and instinctively do. Picking college students and university students also gives the researchers who are collecting this qualitative research a chance to know the validity of their research, because they are adults with most, if not fully developed, brains and minds, and are actively seeking to improve anyway. So participating in the research wouldn't be going out of their way. So what will happen is they would all need to be in the same major, or roughly the same major, or roughly the same field of study, whether that's STEM students, that's engineering students. And there would need to be a somewhat equal ratio between men and women. And so what they would do is they would start freshman year, and over the course of the study, they would fill out these surveys asking, hey, what courses are you taking? What do you hope to gain from them? And what are you learning? Like the tangible skills they are learning in those courses. And then over time, we would monitor the creativity levels. Like, we would have them rate on a scale of 1 to 10, how much did you have to collaborate in this course? On a scale of 1 to 10, how much were you challenged creatively in this course? To see where students feel. And we would ask pre-screening to see which teachers and which courses, outside of their gen ed courses, in their class structure promote creativity and collaboration the most. And then we would continue following up with the same students that continue to participate. If at any point in the study students didn't want to participate, they could email us and let us know, and then tell us their reasoning for doing so. But yeah, they would continue with the study, and then we would see what applications or what opportunities they have 6 months after college, a year after university, 2 years, and then 5 years. And so doing this study, we would get to see, it would take some time, but we would truly get to see how those little decisions they made along the way created a larger impact. And so we would measure variables. Our independent variable would, of course, be the classes they took, the teachers that they chose, and the courses that were formatted in a way to challenge their collaboration and creativity. And the outcome that we're looking for is how much they could succeeded. Like I said, the reason that, outside of the ethical concern of not picking younger students or younger children, we also are going to continue to follow up with consent. So once you, at the beginning of your freshman year, decide to be part of the study, you are not locked into the study for 8+ years of your life if you don't want to be. At any point you can stop, and we will adjust whatever data we collect from your stopping point accordingly. Like, let's say we have 100 students, and 20 of them decide after freshman year they're done. We can observe what happened to the 20 and then exclude that. And this could be a recurring research theme too. We would also clarify that all of their responses and names would be anonymous. And so we would also keep the names. The students themselves would know what teachers they select, but when we report the data, the names of the teachers who are more creative or less creative with their course planning, we wouldn't reveal those names to anyone. So overall, that is my research proposal. I think I've really learned to understand and to look deeper into the minds of other people, and to really observe to get to the root of what I love. I hope that this continues to help people be better communicators, and as someone who's going into a ministry background, who loves spreading the gospel and loves also teaching kids just in general and education. I really hope that this research helps better to shape the young minds of the future. Thank you so much. Have a good day.